Hello, ghosties. I'm Chance Lee,
And I'm Amanda McAvoy.
and this is That's So Gothic, a movie podcast about girls, guys, and haunted houses. And Amanda, we left him to die. You don't think that his ghost wouldn't come back and haunt us?
We have come very far, enduring many hardships. But at last, we found the place where we can be safe.
These Marrowbone kids, how well do you know them?
It's just that they worry me, always hiding away from the community.
They're not hiding. They live too far away.
Get close together, come on.
What are we going to do?
I don't know, but if the truth comes out, they will separate us.
Good luck, Mr. Marrowbone.
He's just left the Marrowbone home. He goes into the bridge, and then he goes down the tunnel, through the tunnel, and goes all the way up. Careful, Jack.
Sam has been to Mother's, right? He says he saw something in there.
You have no idea what you are getting into.
We have to tell Annie the truth.
Nothing, no one, ever will separate us.
Released in 2017, Marrowbone was written and directed by Sergio G. Sánchez. Sergio, maybe?
Ew.
Marrowbone. I want to trill my R's since he's Spanish. Marrowbone. It stars George MacKay as Jack Marrowbone, the eldest of the four Marrowbone children. Anya Taylor-Joy as Allie, his love interest, and Mia Goth as Jane, the sole Marrowbone sister. And this is the story of four siblings living in a rural farmhouse in Maine that might have a man living in the walls, i.e., pretty much any rural Maine farmhouse. Like, wouldn't be surprised.
Accurate.
This movie made $12 million against a $10 million budget. So,
Oh, wow.
modest success.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 41% critical tomato
Wow.
and a 71% audience tomato. So a bit of a crowd pleaser.
Interesting. I actually would have assumed it would be the opposite.
Well, it didn't even get a review on RogerEbert.com,
Wow.
but one of their reviewers, who goes by the name of Tina Hassania, she saw this movie at the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF,
Mhm.
and she wrote one of the harshest reviews I've ever read.
Wow. I'm
I
excited. What was her name again?
Tina Hassania.
All right, Tina, I'm excited. Let's hear it.
So she says that far too much convoluted plotting involves the random insertion of a ghost haunting the house, a jealous love triangle, and a potential blackmail involving the family's blood money stolen from their father that leads to a penultimate reckoning in which a greedy banking associate hacks his way into the family cellar and reveals the family's dirty hidden secrets, which includes one member's split personality disorder and a complete 180-degree turn on how to predict everything that happened before. It's so hard to explain this movie without ruining everything. But in addition to the inexplicably terrible story, Marrowbone is the kind of precious, self-serious film that doesn't understand that scenes like a teenage son carving dad into a bullet and a character walking into a library commenting on how many books there are downright risible. Do you know what risible
Risible?
means?
No.
No, I had to Google it. It
Huh.
means unintentionally provoking laughter.
Wow. That's really funny. I actually thought it was so when did this movie come out? 2016?
17.
17. Okay. It wouldn't have been that, but my mind immediately went to, you know how kids use like Riz now? Like for charisma? I
This
was
is the
like, what?
original Riz.
This was the original Riz.
The
That's
original
where my
Riz.
mind immediately went.
Goes on. She keeps going. She says the
Wow.
film's one saving grace lies in its ability to craft some truly suspenseful moments. But when the viewer has no inkling of what exactly they should be scared of, a ghost, a real person, the family's overactive imagination, for the vast majority of the running time, a few brushes with satisfactory filmmaking craft is a moot thing to champion in a film this mucked up.
Whoa, Tina.
I think that's unfair.
I think that's intense. I mean,
That
everyone's entitled to
she
their
had
own opinion.
she had feelings. She had
Yeah.
feelings about this movie.
Wow. Um, I'm like honestly speechless. She really, I mean, it seems like she really thought this movie was a waste of time.
Yeah, which I do think is very harsh to this movie.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think about the movie?
I really liked it. I wouldn't say I was head over heels for it, but I really genuinely enjoyed it. I think I gave it a pretty high rating. Um, I will say I went into this movie with 0 expectations. I had no idea what it was about. I guess I shouldn't say 0 expectations. I kind of went into it with low expectations, because I feel like it went under the radar a little bit when it came out.
Mhm.
I assumed it was gonna be kind of a standard creepy, you know, run-of-the-mill type of movie. So like I guess I went into it with very low expectations, and I genuinely really liked it. I thought the performances were good. I personally loved the atmosphere. I think that's what really sold me on this movie. Um, something I've talked about before on the podcast is I do not try to pretend to be an expert on filmmaking or what constitutes good filmmaking, but I thought that there were some really creepy points. She brought up how the suspense was very well done, and I agree with that. I disagree with her negative feelings over you don't know what to be scared of because to me that was half the, you know, reason for the suspense and what made it
Mhm.
good. Um, I will say I think the plot was definitely I only watched this movie once. I'm interested to know how you feel about it because 'cause you've seen it at least twice? Yes, so I'm interested to know how you feel about it on a second watch because on the first watch, I feel like it's easy to forgive some of the plot holes because you don't know the ending. So, long story short, I liked it. I'm interested to know how you feel, especially as being someone who's seen it twice now.
Yes, I watched this when I was going through my complete Mia Goth
Mm,
filmography. One of the great things about Mia Goth, despite being in addition to besides, I don't know what adverb I need. Those aren't even adverbs, those are prepositions. But one of the greatest actresses of all time is that she hasn't done a lot. So I could also watch her entire filmography. So, same as you, I was like, I've never heard of this movie. It has Mia Goth and Anya Taylor-Joy, who I also
yeah.
love, and I had never heard of it until saw it on Mia Goth's Letterboxd. I honestly, I don't I had forgotten so much about the movie. I don't know if I finished it. I had forgotten the whole final twist,
Mm,
which is that they're all dead except for one of them. Um,
yes.
but maybe I blocked that out because that's the part that kind of ruins the whole movie for me. I hate that type of twist. It's too M. Night Shyamalan 101, and it's unnecessary, I think,
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
movie. You've already got a guy living in the walls. The what okay, what was happening at this time? Because The Boy came out in 2016, and then this came out in
Mm,
2017. Why was everyone living in the walls? Did they see The Boy and was like, "Oh, shit, we've gotta, like, add something else on top of
yes.
it?" Like,
Was
what
this, was
happened?
this during the housing crisis? Were they like, "Oh, that's the only that's free real estate, baby."
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
echo effect of that. But,
Yes.
yeah, I remembered very little about it.
Mhm.
So going into it a second time, I did kind of feel like I don't know what the plot of this movie is, even while watching it. So
Yes.
I it was hard to keep my interest because of that.
Mm.
Um, and I did start to suspect that the littlest brother was dead, but I didn't make the connection that they all were. I thought it was just going to be a little sixth sensey and not
Mm.
18th sense with like three of them being dead.
Yes.
um, but I do like the house. I like the
Mhm.
performances, as you said, the camaraderie between these siblings. That it almost feels like it should be a TV show. It's trying to do
Mm.
so much in a 2-hour time frame. Whereas if this were an 8-hour like Netflix limited series, I think it would really have room to blossom.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because this does give me, similar vibes to did you ever watch oh my goodness, the Mike Flanagan Ho Haunting of Hill House? It gives me very
No.
similar vibes, so
Okay.
I think it would have actually been a really great, yeah, limited series, maybe switching between the different perspectives, like in Haunting of Hill House, you come to find out pretty early in the show that someone is dead, and then you switch between time periods, so you're kind of confused about, if they're alive or dead, blah, blah, blah. I think that could have been a really interesting perspective on it. Um, I will say, I consider myself someone who is really bad at um, guessing plot twists, and I'm not saying this to be like an asshole, but I did see it coming that they were all dead. Um, and I say that because of the mirrors being covered, because that reminded me so much of The Others. They
Yep.
do that in The Others, and then, there's a part where he's in the bathtub and Mia Goth sneaks up behind him, and he doesn't hear her, and I don't know, something about that scene in particular, I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
she's dead, like, she's a ghost." Um, he just kinda, like, shows up, like, from shout.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, she be dead. She's a ghost."
You're a lot more observant than I am because there was the whole part where the guy, the banker, comes
Mm,
and they are trying to hide the mom from him, I guess.
right.
Um, and then he's also the banker is romantic rival. We'll get to that with
Yes.
Anya Taylor-Joy, and they're kind of
Right.
talking about she's saying that she's helped the little boy with his homework, but I guess she's lying
Mm,
about it. And I'm like, "Oh, she hasn't seen the little boy." But I didn't make the connection that they also hadn't really no one was interacting with the other siblings either.
yes.
I was like, "That's weird that they're not talking to them, la la la." I just
Yes.
let that
Yeah.
coast by me.
And I will say, I didn't see the plot twist of it because they're not ghosts, actually. I was even incorrect in saying that she was a ghost because 'cause they're not technically ghosts. There's, parts of his, multiple personality, which poor Anya Taylor-Joy just keeps getting paired up with these multiple personality disorder men.
You're
He
right. M.
really
Night Shyamalan saw her in this and was like, "Get her for
yes.
Split."
Yeah, get James McAvoy on the phone, another British boy, or I'm so sorry, James McAvoy, he's Irish. Um, I'm so sorry. Like, we need her for this. Um, but I will say yeah, so I will say I did not see the twist of them. I assumed they were ghosts. I assumed it was a
Mhm.
supernatural thing when really it was a mental health thing.
It's a
Mm,
mental health crisis,
it was
yes,
it was a mental health crisis, yes.
which I imagine is pretty common still in rural Maine. I would go
Oh my
crazy if I was
goodness.
in rural Maine.
Yes, it if only he was just like, a lighthouse keeper, it would have made so much more sense, everything.
Right, right,
Or a lobsterman,
right.
or yeah, something, but rural Maine is it's an interesting area. Would you say that you have been into the depths of Maine before?
No, I haven't been up to where the places stop having names and are just, like,
Mm,
letters and numbers. I haven't been that far.
yes. I have not been that far. I've been up to Moosehead Lake, which is still pretty touristy, but it's fairly inland, and, I mean, there's just nothing. I found a Hannaford's there, which if you're not familiar, Hannaford's is a regional grocery store, and typically they're fairly large. It was the smallest. It was like the size of like it had like 4 aisles. It was so weird. It was so weird. It's weird up there.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's not even like the boondocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I call New Hampshire, Mississippi of the North, which geographically
Mm,
makes Maine, Alabama of the North,
I see that.
and I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah. Maine is so weird because it is we could go on a whole rant about it. Like Maine and New Hampshire are kind of weird because they're in New England, but y- it's it's dicey.
It's I've lived in the South and I've
Mhm,
lived in New England for roughly the same amount of time,
mm.
and if I'm driving through, like, rural New Hampshire, I will have these flashbacks, and I can't tell if I'm remembering driving on the same road or if I'm remembering driving in Mississippi.
So funny.
It just they give the same vibe where you're in to me, a tree is a tree. I know the trees are
Yeah.
different, but they're all the same to me. So you're driving, there's a bunch of trees, and then all of a sudden you reach a tiny little town, and there's like
Yes.
places that might as well be shacks, like a gas station that looks like it still has the little flappy things instead of a
Right.
digital output, and like one
Yes.
sad, tired dog on the side of the road. And it's like, I don't know where I am right now.
And it's like you drive through that for 10 minutes and then it's trees again for
Trees
another
again.
hour. Yeah.
Mhm,
It's true.
mhm.
It
It's
is.
just so
And
sparsely populated.
yes, and I think too, kind of, I guess, important to this movie is I think myself included, people forget how big Maine is.
That's true.
It's one correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the state with the longest coastline technically, because of the way it's formatted. And it's a massive state, so you can really, you know, be in the depths in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to go crazy.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Especially in such a big, beautiful, old, creepy house. Love
Beautiful
it.
house. I think it's interesting that this is a Spanish
Mm,
director wrote and directed this, but set it in Maine.
mhm,
Um, the director had this was his directorial debut,
mhm.
but he had written movies before. He had written that movie, which I might unfairly be judging this movie, but it's the movie where Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts survive that Thailand tsunami, and
Wow.
I forget what it's called now, but I just remember seeing the trailer and being like, "Why are they making a movie about one of the biggest disasters in Thailand about Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts?"
Right.
Maybe
Oh,
that's
that's
just maybe that's just unfairly judging it, but,
right.
this and then it was written by this Spanish guy.
Right.
Okay.
What a
Um,
random movie for him to have written.
yeah, so he's interesting, and he doesn't seem to have done much post this. Nothing that I've recognize.
Yes.
I think he's doing mostly stuff back in Spain.
Mm. Did you ever I saw that he wrote The Orphanage, I believe?
I
Did
can't
you see
remember
that?
if I even saw that. There
That
was a time where Spanish horror was a
Mhm.
big deal. I don't know if
Yes.
it was because of Guillermo del Toro and Pan's Labyrinth, but then Spanish horror was all over the place, and I feel like I saw The Orphanage, but I don't know.
Yes. It's funny because I know I saw The Orphanage back, around the time it came out because I thought it was a Del Toro movie. I think I watched the entire thing assuming it
Oh.
was, which is very uneducated and probably slightly racist on my behalf.
This
Um,
was in the days when Netflix was still sending discs. You're
that's
forgiven.
true. That's true. But I've rewatched it semi recently and I didn't like it. I will just say
Mm,
that straight out. There is a very bizarre and I feel like you could kind of make a similar parallel with this movie, um, where it's not the the timing, it's not that the setting is incorrect. So, like, for The Orphanage, for example, it feels like it should be this movie taking place in, like, the 1800s, like, it's a creepy old abandoned orphanage, which I guess makes sense that it's not the 1800s because if it was, it would be in use, but, like, it's creepy, it's old, it's decrepit, and then there's, like, this major plot point that takes up a lot of the second half of the movie of these ghost hunters, and they come in with, like, technology, and
oh.
it's very jarring, um, and I kind of have a similar feeling with Marrowbone because I think it takes place in the '60s, so,
Right, yeah.
again, but I wonder if it's kind of his style. Because the house that it's taking place in is old and decrepit and creepy, and the kids are, like, playing card games, they're, like they feel like Victorian children. But
Yes.
then, like, Anya Taylor-Joy is wearing, like, a cute little, like, plaid skirt and, like, you know, like, driving in pretty little cars. It's very jarring, and again, I think maybe that's a stylistic choice, but it's odd.
It is really odd. I was kind of only I was having a hard time focusing on it, and in my head, I was like, "This is the late 1800s," and then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, wait a second, they're in a car."
Yeah, right.
Like,
They're, like, using old shotguns and stuff and
yeah.
heating the house with just fireplaces. They're speaking in Morse code. Um, really weird.
Yes. Yeah, it's a strange vibe. But Anya Taylor-Joy is good
Yeah.
in it, and this is the first time we've
Oh, she's so good.
gotten to talk about her on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, she's so good. She's so lovely.
Mhm.
I love her wide set eyes. I have on more than one occasion downloaded a Sims version of her to play in my game because I think she's
Ooh.
just the most beautiful woman of all time.
Mhm.
So I hope um that's flattering. Um I
I
really
think
like
so.
her. Yeah, good, good, good.
I remember seeing the Vavitch for
Mm.
the first time and thinking, "She's gonna be a star." Like, she was just I was like, "Who is this girl? She's
She like had a cigar.
fantastic." Oh, yeah. Like, I was the one who discovered her. Um, but I'm excited. She's had such a great career.
Mhm.
She still takes very fun, interesting, thoughtful projects.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, she's in this. And again, I missed this. I remember watching The Witch and be like, I want to see everything this girl is in. And then
Right.
this just sailed by me.
Yeah. So this was obviously after The Witch. Um Wondering, so what would you say like her like breakout role was? I mean, I guess
Anya?
technically The Witch, yeah, but
Yeah, I
like
think The Witch, and then maybe Queen's Gambit because that was
Mm,
during COVID, and so everyone was watching it.
that's right. So it was like before that, which is funny
Mhm.
because she also played like she has we've talked about it on the podcast before. It might have even been the last episode, so I apologize. The you know how I talked about how some people have an iPhone face?
Yeah,
She has this weird, indistinguishable, both futuristic and very retro face. She has a timeless face.
that's
Um,
true.
because it's funny because she like played the Vavitch in the, 1600s, which I thought
Mhm.
she was very well suited for. She's in this, that's the 60s. The Queen Gambit's that's the 60s.
Mhm.
And now she's doing Dune. Very futuristic.
Oh, I forgot she was in Dune.
Yeah, she's a Dune girl.
She's also in The Northman, which is like what is that?
Yeah.
The 1200s? The thousands? I don't know.
1200s?
I don't
Yeah.
know my so she's in many I wonder what
Eras.
actors have starred in movies that have spanned the
Oh
most
my god.
centuries. Maybe it's her,
I feel like it might be.
right? We have Raquel Welch, who was in 10,000 BC.
Mhm.
And then she was alive a very long time. But and
Yes.
then it's Anya Taylor-Joy.
Or like Rooney Mara. Rooney Mara did like Noah and like those Jesus movies. Was she in Noah or she was just in a Jesus movie? I don't
Wasn't
remember.
she the Virgin Mary or something
She-
in a I think so. She wasn't in Noah because Noah was Hermione. Hermione was in Noah with
Oh, okay.
just Jennifer Connelly.
Right. Rooney Mara was in whatever Jesus-y movie Joaquin Phoenix was in.
I think she was
Um,
Mary.
I think she was married to as well. Was she the Virgin Mary or was she Mary Magdalene? I think she might have been Mary Magdalene.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
But
don't know. I
anyways,
vaguely remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so she got back there pretty fast and then she does like, Alien. Right? Is that Rooney Mara? She was in Prometheus or one of
I
the
don't think
aliens?
she's in that either.
Oh, I don't know. She has a very similar face. We'll figure it out. We'll collect data.
It's her sister might be in one of them. Rooney Mara has a sister
Yes.
who's in movies.
Yes. And because her sister was in a Kevin Spacey political show. House of Cards.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
I didn't either, but that's where I know her from. Kate Mara.
I forgot about that. First saw her on American Horror Story.
Oh, that's right. She was so good in that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, back to the 60s. Um, we also have my favorite, Mia Goth.
Oh, she's so good.
When Mia Goth's in a movie and Mia Goth screams, it's on. And it was 11 minutes and 20 seconds into this movie, and you get a Mia Goth scream, and it was like, oh, the movie has begun.
Cinema.
Yes. She just goes from looking like a normal, i.e., ethereally gorgeous young woman
Mm,
to psychotic in the span of a second. Like she's
yeah.
just so fucking good. And I remember when we talked about her in Suspiria and how I love her in Suspiria. And she's so good at listening and she's so
Mm,
good at being in the background and stealing your attention away, and she's in the background a lot in this movie, but she just draws your attention in because she's
does.
always 100% keyed into what she's doing.
Yes, she is. Also, this is Anya Taylor-Joy and Mia Goth. I don't know if it was before or after this, they were in Emma together.
You're right, I forgot about that.
Yes. Yeah, so
Wow,
I don't know if they're like friends in real life, but I would love to go to like a tea party with the two of them. That would be incredible.
that would be great. They don't even do they even have a scene together in this movie though?
It's a great question. Yeah, when they meet, because they do all meet on like the beach.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, she has definitely now I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure that
okay,
Anya Taylor-Joy does meet the siblings in person at some point.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, yes, 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 you're right, because they find her in that tree. I forget that they had the timeline's hard to parse. I forget they did have a
Yes.
whole time where they actually were alive, and she actually
Yes.
did meet them, and then things
Right.
changed.
Yes. Because I think it was like the mom died, then they met Anya
Mhm,
Taylor-Joy,
mhm.
then the siblings died, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then our lead sibling is George MacKay. I I don't know if I'd seen it when I watched this movie, but he was in 1917. That's the main thing that I've seen him in, which was the Sam Mendes World War One movie that's shot as if it's one take.
Right. Was he the lead in that?
He's one of the 2 men.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen anything he's in. Yeah.
He does a lot of European work. I
Oh,
was looking at
interesting.
his, Wikipedia page because 1917 was a big deal. I think it got forgotten because then COVID happened, but and it was
Mm,
2019 when it came out, but it was getting a lot of praise, and then
yeah.
I never heard from him again, but yeah, he's been working
That's
in Europe. He's been in a French movie, an Italian movie. He's just gallivanting around the
wow.
continent and
Woohoo.
making film.
Wow.
Cinema.
Cinema. He's a fancy boy. Yes. I think he has one of the most incredible crying faces of any actor I've ever seen. He just throws himself into crying. Um, he almost, and I mean this in the best possible way, his face almost becomes two-dimensional when he sobs because he, like, stretches it out, like, I got, like, Flat Stanley vibes. Like, it was just he stretched his face so much, a and I genuinely, like, felt for him at the end of this movie. I I think he did a great job being emotional. Um, I mean, I really, really understood at the end of the movie that sort of at the core of it was this brother who put everything, you know, his siblings over everything, and to lose them was just horrible. And I he did such a good job playing that role. And yeah, I mean, he like genuinely like, and again, I mean this in the best way possible. He had such an ugly crying face that
Mm.
it made me emotional, and I mean that in because he's a very handsome man. Um, he really, like, put his whole face into this.
If we are living in a simulation, they'll announce within 6 months a live action Flat Stanley starring George MacKay. That'll be how we know.
Oh my god, I can't believe they haven't made a live action Flat Stanley yet.
Maybe they have, and we just haven't been made aware yet.
Oh my god,
He
it's
he's
gonna,
filming it
like,
right now. They're sliding him under a door right now. Like, they built a very large door that he's sliding under.
Jack Black is definitely cast in some way because he has to be in, like, all of those, you know, children's legacy things. Um,
Mhm.
Jack Black and George MacKay, Flat
The
Stanley around
dream
the world.
team. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about the Gothic elements of
Mhm.
this film. Our Gothic films have 4 qualities: a girl, a guy, a house, and a haunt. Our girl, typically someone drawn into a situation beyond their control. Who do you think our girl is in this movie?
I mean, I think you could kind of point at a couple different people. Anya Taylor-Joy's character is the biggest outsider, so I guess by our
Mhm.
definition, she's kind of the girl the most. But there's a lot of, most of the characters in this movie are, um, they lack control of their outcome.
Mhm.
So, but I would
Mhm.
say kind of Anya Taylor-Joy, um, would be my girl. Do you have a differing opinion?
I had written down Jack, the
Mm,
main sibling, just because him being our point of view character, but I think you
yeah.
make a stronger point. And I think I would have liked the movie more if it was from her
Mm,
perspective. I I I think having to see so many scenes of the siblings and then going back and being like, I guess this is just him alone in a room pretending to be all of them
right.
is hard to swallow, whereas if it were from her perspective coming into this and getting the reveal along with her, I think that would have made a
Mm,
stronger movie for me.
I agree, actually. That's a very good point. I think having it from mainly his point of view is what makes the movie probably to a lot of people feel very convoluted and, has that twistiness for the sake of just being a twist.
Right, whereas I think it would be more organic if it was her
Mm,
figuring things out, and I think that would also alleviate the I don't know if it's a problem, but what you mentioned about it feeling like it's set in a different century. Because if we were from
mm,
her perspective, it would we would know it was the '60s, and
right,
then this family would seem like so much of an outsider because she would be going in and being like, "What decade is this? I'm in the modern
yeah,
'60s. I just sent a fax, and now they don't even have a rotary phone."
right, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yeah, I like that. She's our
Mm.
girl. But then if she's the girl, then who's our guy? Our guy is normally the person that lures someone in, intentionally or not, into a situation that they find themselves trapped.
As a guy is kind of a little ambiguous, wishy-washy, because if it's her, you could argue it's Jack.
Yeah.
But how much is he doing that intentionally? In his head, he's just this brother looking out for his siblings.
Mhm.
You can't really say the father because the
Right.
father actually comes in, he actually sort of has no influence on what the family is doing in
Right.
terms of they sort of made their own choice. That sounds harsh because, like, he's a terrible person. We didn't really get into the father too much, but, like, he's awful and abusive and terrible, but, like, they made their choice to come to Maine. The mother is the one who brings them to Maine because it
Mm.
was her family home, I believe. Um, so, yeah, I guess there's a couple of different routes you could take with it.
I think I'm gonna continue your route of Anya Taylor-Joy being the girl, which would
Yeah,
then, yeah, make Jack the guy. The guy doesn't always do it on purpose, sometimes he means
that's true.
well.
Yes, it's not always malicious.
It's not always malicious, but she does end up in the house and in mortal peril at the end
Yeah,
of the movie
right.
anyway.
That's true. That's true.
And not to jump ahead to the haunt, but I think our haunt would be Dad in the Wall,
Yeah,
um,
serial killer dad.
which is very gothic. That goes back to Jane Eyre, Woman in the Attic, Dad in the Wall,
Yes, and
Boy in the
technically
Wall.
he's in the wall, he's in the attic wall.
Right.
He's very much
Right.
Mad Woman in the Attic. Yeah,
Yeah. That makes
yeah,
it that makes it pretty gothic.
right.
That he's trapped up there. They don't so he doesn't does he know he's trapped? I can't quite figure out what he knows and what they don't know and by the end of this movie. I guess it doesn't even really matter, but
Mm, yeah. I will say since I was going off that the siblings were ghosts, and I didn't really think about how they died necessarily, um, the reveal of their bodies in the attic was quite
oh,
shocking. Um,
mhm.
really, really sad. This is a deeply depressing movie. If you care enough about the characters to become at all attached, it's a deeply depressing movie. Um, yeah, I mean, like you said, Mont is definitely the dad. He's a scumbag.
Mhm.
Ugh.
I think it got to the point where there was so much for me to keep up with
Mhm.
that I did get confused. I thought they were dead the whole time, which kind of put up a wall between me and being able to connect with them.
Mm,
This kind of does actually make me want to go back and watch it again. I like the vibe of the movie, depression
yes.
and sadness aside. The beginning part, I like the vibes of it. I like the way it's made. I like the chemistry between the actors.
Yes.
Um, and it's yeah, the reveal of their bodies is really shocking. This is kind of
Mhm.
I had to I looked up the rating real quick on my phone,
Yeah.
because it's a very, like, light R. There isn't a lot of violence,
Mm,
there isn't a lot of language, there's no,
right.
like, sex, nudity, any of that stuff, but that definitely pushes it into R territory.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those movie that's interesting because, yeah, like you said, there isn't a lot of outward reasons to make it an R, but, like, if I'm thinking of who I would show this movie to, it would not be a preteen, you know?
Right.
Like, I'd be like, "Oh,
Right.
maybe wait." Yeah.
Like, The
Um,
Others is PG-13, and that has kind
right.
of a ghost house element despite having the religious overtones and stuff.
Right.
That's,
Right.
like, boo spooky.
Yes.
Tyler Perry's Boo, like, it's just like, that's that's how the vibe The Others gives. But, yeah, this is upsetting.
This is
Um,
upsetting.
yeah.
When you talked about, this potentially working better as something longer format, I would have loved to get a little bit more background on the dad. I think
Mhm.
making him a serial killer in the movie was maybe unnecessary and a little grabby, a little showy.
Mhm.
Um, I think they probably could have left it at he was abusive. Again, I don't know exactly what the choice was with it. I don't know if it was so that there would be like actual physical newspapers that could be found of this man's crime, or maybe it was like genuinely, you know, something that interested the writer director. Um, but I just thought that was a little peculiar, but I think in something longer format, it could have been really interesting. You actually
Mhm.
don't see that. I mean, I don't know that we've ever talked about like a serial killer in a movie before. I feel like that's not a plot point that like a B plot that happens a lot. It's
Right,
like either
by
in the
the
main
way
plot or it's not happening, yeah.
yeah, by the way, he's a serial killer.
Okay, he's a serial killer.
And
Like a
he
little
also, like, some sort of bandit? Like, why does he have all that money that they stole where did the money come from?
oh, that's right.
He
I
has, like, a
don't
lot of
know.
money. He's
It's a
like a
lot of
serial killer
cash.
bandit.
Bandit. Yeah, you're right, you're right. That's funny, it's never explained, it's just his money.
His money.
I did read the IMDb, trivia or whatever, and it's not confirmed, it's never been confirmed by anyone in the movie, but it was basically this theory that the youngest child was actually Mia Goth's baby, um, because there is this subplot of he was abusive towards her specifically,
Oh.
and when the mother
Oh.
dies, she says something about Mia Goth raising the baby as it was meant to be,
Oh.
which adds a really disgusting layer. Again, I think makes it so much more depressing and tragic when you think of how hard Jack tried to keep his siblings safe, or
Yeah.
siblings and nephew. Um, so that was hard to read. I'm sorry I brought it up.
No,
Um,
that's true. That's not fun incest. That's bonus gothic
yes.
incest, check, but not the
Oh,
fun kind.
that's right.
It's fun when it's like Jessica Chastain and Tom Hiddleston. It's not fun when it's Mia Goth and serial killer dad.
Also, side note about the dad, actually, since we're a light note. So the reveal of when he's alive. Oh, no, no, no. It's not when he's alive. Again, this is when it gets a little bit muddled because they do the reveal of sort of the entire plot at the end in, I wouldn't necessarily call it an interesting way, but in probably the only way that makes sense for what it is, where you do kind of get a little bit confused about what the time period is. Is the dad actually back? Is, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't really fully understand it's a flashback. But anyways, the dad comes down the chimney and he like jumps down the chimney to the attic where the three siblings are hiding. My computer that I was watching the movie on decided to freeze at exactly the moment where he hit the bottom of the chimney. Worst possible timing. I also, for like a solid minute or two after I got my computer to start working, I thought this was Michael Fassbender. The actor looks so much like Michael Fassbender, and I was like, "What a
Really?
weird role for Michael Fassbender to accept." Like, it's kinda minor, like, that's
Marrowbone
so
dad. Papa
harsh.
Marrowbone.
Why did he do that? Um, it was not. It's someone I do not know. Um, I don't have much of an opinion on him because he's barely in the movie
He's
as
barely
an
in the movie.
actual
He's really
actor.
dirty too when he's in the movie.
Yes, he's very soot covered. Oh, that's what it was, is I actually thought it was Aaron Eckhart for the most of the
That
chunk.
I can see. I looked at his unsooty face and I can definitely see
Yes.
that.
And then, like, he, like, turned in a weird way. And so keep in mind, I'm thinking, "Oh, that's Aaron Eckhart. I guess that makes some sense. He hasn't been in anything big in a while." And he turned his face in a way, and I went, "It's Michael Fassbender. What's he doing in this?" And then I finally realized it was someone I don't know. Um, yeah, he's very sooty.
When I don't normally get creeped out or scared by
Mm,
anything, but I have to think about this a lot. This sent me into a introspective moment. I think it's when the is it when the banker finds him? There's a point where there's a kind of a shot down a hallway, either in the attic or the basement, and he kind of stands up,
mm,
and that really freaked me out. And it
yes.
reminds me of this scene from Twin Peaks where I I don't remember Twin Peaks that well.
Mm, me
There's the
neither.
actress Grace Zabriskie. She's in a lot of
Yes.
David Lynch things. I don't know if she's Laura Palmer's mother. I don't know who she plays. But there's like this creepy guy in Twin Peaks. He has like stringy hair and
Oh,
he's
Bob.
like Bob, I guess.
Yeah,
She looks and he's at the foot of the couch and he
right.
comes up over the couch. I just started screaming when I saw that. And I mean, this was like, I
Yes.
don't know, 5, 6 years ago. This was not when I was a kid and it was on TV. Um, and that the dad in Marrowbone standing up reminded me
Yes.
of that. And I'm like, why is someone standing up so deeply disturbing to me? I need to have
Mm,
hypnotherapy or something to get to the bottom of this.
yes. Um, Side note, my favorite animal is they are raccoons. So as soon as the kids started feeding food to a raccoon and it had a name, I can't remember what it was, I went on doesthedogdie.com, one of my favorite websites of all time. I searched for this movie, and so I did know that the raccoon was going to die.
They put that on the
Um,
website?
yeah, it's
That's
it's
very
now kind of
considerate.
yeah, it's kind of all encompassing now. It has pretty much any animal and then also a lot of trigger warnings. So side
Wow.
note, if you're someone who likes to really prepare yourself and to really make sure, to be cognizant of trigger warnings, does the dog die is pretty all encompassing now. Um,
But does it
but
mention that someone stands up in a really creepy way?
I don't think it does mention that.
Mm.
It has some really obscure phobias, like things I didn't know about. I do not think it has creepy standing guy, which it should, because I agree, that is
I'm gonna
horrifying.
email them.
Please do. It's all, like, user, you know, um, not funded, but it's, like, users, like,
Generated
vote. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. So it's like
contributors.
yeah, it's like 9 people said that the raccoon dies in this movie.
Okay. Like, and then did you click like a thumbs up or something? Did you click like
Oh,
yes,
I
like
should have.
after?
I should
Like,
have
do your
also
part?
included. I'm really bad at, being a team player.
You have to participate. We live in a society and you need to participate.
I know, I'm terrible.
Well, let's talk about this house. They have this fabulous house that they live in. It's supposed to be falling apart, but I wouldn't
I
care.
don't care. I
What,
don't
there's a
care.
stain on the ceiling? Fine.
Right. He just takes that paint roller, he's
Mhm.
done. It's beautiful.
And he did it all by himself because
Yes!
that was like post death, right? That's like
Right. Yes,
he
because
did that
those
all
are
by
their
himself.
bodies making that stain.
Oh, ooh, I didn't
No.
quite realize that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, clawfoot tub,
Ah, my
back
favorite.
to the things that are important. Clawfoot
Mhm.
tub, spiral staircase, a greenhouse, beautiful
Love the
kitchen.
greenhouse. Yep, yep.
It's literally on a hill. Oh my God. Even if there was a serial killer living in the attic, that's fine. That's
As
fine.
long as he stayed there.
He's good up there. He's good. I would give him a little kitchenette, a little microwave maybe. You do what you need to do up there. I will enjoy the rest of this beautiful, magnificent house with pocket doors. And
Wow, yeah.
oh, it's just stunning. Oh, I love it.
Him in the attic is our new accessory dwelling unit anyway. I think that's been legalized. I think with the
Yeah.
housing crisis, that's fine. That is legal. He doesn't
They're
even
like,
need an entrance or exit.
no,
Like that.
exactly.
He's okay.
Like it's fine. He has a window in
Mhm.
case of a fire, whatever. It's near a beautiful, craggy, rocky shore with old hollow oak trees. It's in a lovely, idyllic town with an adorable little library. Oh,
The library is cute.
the library's so cute. I love it. It's just nice.
As someone who has been further north in Maine than I
Mm.
have, did this feel like Maine to you?
Yes, it
Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know where this movie was filmed, but this did feel very like we were talking about that rural New England, um, because I think a lot of times in general, I think a lot of people can agree with us on this, like, once you get to a certain level of ruralness in the United States, it's all kind of you pretty much mentioned
That's
this.
true. I did just say that, yeah.
It gets very similar. Um, and in terms of Maine, I definitely see this. This was the '60s, so I think nowadays there would be a lot more like dunks, because no matter how, deep into the woods you go, there will be a dunks.
Mhm.
Um, but besides that, I would say it's pretty spot on.
You look out into the water and there's a lobster fishing boat and a Dunkin' boat just floating out
Yes.
there, yeah.
Right, right, yeah, because they have to get their coffee while they're out there.
I don't
They
know
go
if
to
it's because I was I don't know, I was not focused on this movie, I guess, because
yeah.
well, they're all British, so I kind of missed the fact for a
Mm,
while that they were even in America. All
right.
of the actors are non-Americans.
Yes.
Um, so in my head, it was just England again.
Yeah.
It was My Cousin Rachel, those cliffs of like
Yes.
Dover, that they're on. I've never been to a part of Maine that is like that. So
Yeah.
the town I can see, the house I can see, but the cliffs I had a hard time with. Um, so this was filmed not in Maine, but in Spain. They
Wow.
filmed the whole thing in Spain. Actually only 10 miles from where the director was born.
Oh, how nice. You could pop in and see his mom.
Yeah, and they filmed it in what this website calls a palace,
Mm.
that they like built a facade around. So it was an existing structure and they built this main like wooden facade around it.
Wow.
And then my understanding is that they actually filmed inside this palace as their house.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Um, wow.
I know I couldn't find. I wanted to find a picture of what it looks like, but I couldn't
Right.
find one.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But add it to our list of places we might actually be able to visit.
Absolutely. I I am assuming there was maybe some editing with it, but the weather felt very Maine to me. I will say,
Mm,
when you look at Maine and like Maine and Spain, they are very similar. Like, what is that, longitude? Um,
yeah,
Because one time actually I was thinking about going on a trip to Spain, and I was like, "Oh, wow, it's so steep to go to Spain in the spring. I should just go then. Like, I don't care." And then when I looked up the weather, I was like, "Oh, it's so cheap because the weather is terrible." Um,
interesting.
so I mean, there are definitely parts of Spain that I think are rainy, sad, dreary, you know, Spain's a pretty big country. I'm so interested in how similar Spain and Maine are now.
Now I am too.
I feel like there's probably a big overlap.
I I forget, my geography's poor. I went to
Mm,
public school in Mississippi, and yeah, I remember when the Olympics were in Japan, COVID ended
mm.
up happening. I've talked about COVID a lot, unfortunately, this podcast, but that ended up happening. Even if I had wanted to go or and planned to go, I wouldn't have been able to go. But I remember being like, where is Japan? And
Yes,
trying to put it in to yeah, the vertical alignment with our country and just trying to figure
right.
out. And yeah, I hadn't really thought about that with Spain. You're right.
Yeah. In Spain, they eat a lot of shellfish, Maine, lobster.
Yeah.
I really think they're one and the same.
Yeah.
I would love to see like a Maine lobsterman in Spain and vice versa.
Mhm. Ooh, like an
Yeah.
exchange program.
Yes. Yeah, I think we need to do this. I think they could
Okay.
find a lot of similarities in the culture.
This will be a new reality show, like longitude swap.
Honestly, that's not a bad idea. And then you could do like latitude swap and it could be like me and a person from like Tampa.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. For
I'd
sure.
probably get sent to, I don't know, somewhere like on the equator where it's like a million degrees.
Or you'd go to like the tippity top of um
Oh,
Canada.
Canada, that's even worse.
Yeah,
It's even
yeah.
worse than Maine. Well, we have bonus Gothics, which we've discussed already.
Mhm.
Some of them. We had romantic rival in The Banker, whose name I don't remember, just call him The Banker.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like he's fine. I kinda liked I mean, he's a little hard-nosed or whatever, but they even
Right.
give him a little subplot where he, doesn't get the
Ah,
job that he wants. They try to humanize him in a way and give him this motivation for doing what he's doing instead of just being an asshole, which I
yeah,
did
that's
appreciate
true.
that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I kind of forgot about him, but you're right. Like at least they didn't, like you said, just make his one motivation that he's a jerk and he's, in love with Anya Taylor-Joy, which everyone is. That can't
Who
be your
wouldn't
only
be?
motivation. We would all go feral for her,
She's the hottest girl in Maine,
honestly.
across centuries.
Literally.
Like, the Vavitch could be in Maine. I don't know where it is. It's New England somewhere. It's probably
Yeah,
Massachusetts, but still. Massachusetts and might as well have been Maine in the 1600s. So,
they were.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah,
I knew that. I totally
yeah.
knew
They
that.
were connected at some point. I
They
don't
were all
remember.
one colony.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, Maine and Massachusetts were the same state.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a not fun incest, which is a bummer. We have mirrors, which have
Yes.
been a bonus gothic before. I looked
Mm,
in movies like The Others, which we mentioned,
mhm.
The Skeleton Key,
Ooh, yes.
The Lodge has mirrors,
Yes.
and who can forget Candyman in the mirror.
Yep.
All American set movies I noticed being oh, not The
Mm,
Others. Oh, was the no, The Others because
I think they're British.
they're British.
Yeah.
But then it confused me because like they're also British in this movie, but they're in Maine. So I was like, where
Yeah,
is she in the others? But most of
right.
them are American. And So my question was, should a library be Gothic? Bonus
Oh,
Gothic.
you know what? Controversially, I'm gonna say no. I know. I want so badly for it to be, but also the library in this movie is so bright and happy and lovely. It's a very
That's
cheery library.
maybe. I agree with you. You're right. So maybe a public library is not Gothic, but a library
Mm,
in a house is could be a bonus Gothic.
yes. And like a huge, like, if any library has a rolling ladder, I think immediate Gothic.
Rolling ladder, or maybe shelves tall enough that if you didn't have a rolling ladder, you wish you had one.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe a couple cobwebs, and those books that are bound, like, in, like, thick leather.
Right. That at least
Yeah.
one of them might be human skin.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So this library not Gothic, but
Mhm.
perhaps other libraries could be Gothic in the future.
Yes.
Are there any other bonus Gothics?
Is there a piano? Why do I feel like there is? I just always feel
Do
like
they
there
play
is.
piano? Do they play
Why do
piano?
I feel like I can see Mia Goth playing the piano? What was she doing when the father shot into the window? She was doing oh, maybe she was, like, sewing.
She's always doing, yeah, the female work.
Yes. Yeah, maybe she was sewing. I don't know. For some reason, I had the feeling she was playing the piano, but I don't know. No. Yeah, no piano. There's no cat, but there's a raccoon, which is similar.
It's a raccoon. Very nocturnal creature.
Nocturnal, pointy
Mm-hmm.
ears.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a little bandit.
Yes. It's so cute. Oh, I love raccoons so much. Yeah, I think that's it for bonus graphics.
Well, with that in mind, if we approach it as girl Allie, played by Anya
Mhm.
Taylor-Joy, guy is Jack, house is this Spanish palace passing as a main house, and haunt dad in the attic. Do you think this is so gothic, goth-ish, or no gothic?
I'm saying so gothic.
I agree. I was not thinking that going into this. I
Mm,
think it's so gothic, but our perspective is like a little askew where I missed personally a lot of the gothic elements on my watch through.
yes. I definitely think this is a case of the vibe is very gothic. The house is gothic.
Mhm.
There's like a it's one of the big there's a big ass mirror at the top of the stairs. Yeah, they even hang that there. It's covered in the sheet. And I mean, that's just like quintessential to me. Like, mirror is already a gothic element. Maybe we should also add that, like, if it has a sheet over it, like
Furniture with a sheet.
furniture with the sheet, very gothic.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I think that alone, that giant ass mirror with the sheet over it, and then it like comes cascading down and the little boy gets scared. Very gothic.
That's true. And the spooky elements are especially gothic in this.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, are there any memorable scenes that we didn't mention that you wanted to bring up?
Um, Honestly, not really. I think the most tense scene for me is the one that I just mentioned with the little boy. I think he's chasing a dice. He's chasing a dice, and there's the moment of the mirror falls down. I genuinely like kinda, I didn't actually do it, but like, watching it through my fingers kind of feeling like I was so I was so stressed. Like I really thought there was going to be a jump scare or something and there kind of isn't, which is nice, but it's just a lot of tension.
The movie doesn't have many, if any, cheap jump
No.
scares, which is nice as well.
Yeah.
But the mirror scene is good too because it has the part where he looks in the mirror and he looks kind of like an adult, or he sees an adult man in the mirror, which I didn't know what that meant at the time, even though I'd already seen the movie. But in retrospect, it's like, oh, because that's George.
I don't think
It's not the
I
little boy.
notice that or put that together.
Yeah,
Um,
they show him the mirror quickly, and it's clearly an adult, full-grown man under the sheet.
right, right. Oh, see? Clever.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
going back to what you had said about the boy possibly being Mia Goth's son,
Mhm.
there's a part we didn't talk at all about the other brother who is
Mm,
to me exceptionally attractive and always in a little sleeveless white shirt and
yes.
just like working and all muscly. I guess he's a
Yep.
Stranger Thing, which I don't watch that
Yes.
show. But he's the troubled like, oh, I guess he might could he be the middle child? Like if she's the young if there's only 3 of them, like
He's
Mia
definitely a
Goth.
middle child. Yeah.
Yeah, because he might be the middle child.
That's right.
Um, but Mia Goth says to the main character, she says, "You have Allie, and I have like the little boy,
Mm,
and he has nobody." And I'm like, "Girl, way to shortchange yourself. Like, you go into town and get yourself a man." But that makes more sense if it's not her little brother.
yeah. Yes. Wow.
That
And
was a
he
good
really is,
observation.
yeah, he really is alone.
Yeah, I have warmed to this movie the more we've talked about it, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I almost didn't want to watch it a second time because, I kind of brought it up at the top. I thought maybe it wouldn't hold up as well the second time, but now my curiosity is piqued. I
Me
might
too.
might watch it again.
How did was this on Tubi? How did we watch this?
How did we? Oh, I watched it on Canopy, the
Oh,
library streaming
okay.
service. Yes, because I did check out a copy from my local library as well, because I was going to do some of the special features. But then I decided I wanted to watch it in bed on my laptop, and thankfully, he had it.
Oh, I forget about I'm the bad librarian who forgets about Canopy. I did watch it on Tubi with commercials. I could have watched it on
Oh,
Canopy with no commercials.
yes.
But I'm curious to see if the DVD has commentary. I would definitely watch it
Mm,
with the commentary.
yes. We'll let you know afterwards. I have it across the room, and I will read you the special features.
Beautiful. Well, what else have you been enjoying, Amanda, when we've been watching another movie with someone hidden in the walls?
So I love, to be fair, okay, quick side note, there was an episode of Supernatural, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, even though I haven't watched a third of it because it's 15 seasons and I haven't watched 5 seasons. Um, but I have such nostalgia for that show. There is an episode of that show where there is a girl living in the walls, and it is one of my favorite episodes of television ever. So apparently this is a trope I love and will forever love. So incredible. I think
Well, I
she
learned
I was gonna say, I know she eats rats. Not sure if there's a raccoon involved. So
and she's a human?
she well, that's the plot twist of the episode.
Oh,
So
okay.
so sorry for anyone who's listening who really wants to go back and watch a 20-year-old show. Um, because they're like ghost hunter. They're supernatural, and
Mhm.
they go and they're like, "Oh, we gotta put down the salt ring," and then she's like, "I'm gonna walk through the salt ring." It's crazy. It's actually very similar to this movie. It's not a
Wow.
ghost, it's a human.
Okay.
And the
Fascinating.
boy. Wow, what a trope.
Yeah.
Huh, wow.
I learned that I was really trying to figure out, I was like, what the fuck was going on where people were living in walls in the mid 2010s? But I didn't find an answer to that, unfortunately. But I did find a whole, I think it's like a docu-series um, called Hider in My House about people who had people hiding and living in their houses and they didn't know about it. And that phenomenon is called frogging with a PHROGGING, frogging. If someone is frogging, they're living in your wall and you don't know they're there.
Wow. I have to say that was one of my biggest fears growing up, probably because of that Supernatural episode, was that someone was living in my attic. Um,
Mm,
and to be fair, I wasn't completely wrong because there was a colony of bats living up there. So,
yeah.
vampires.
Right, they could have just been in bat form when you saw them.
Exactly. Exactly. So, wow. That is if anyone has any more recommendations for wall hiding movies, I'll take books, tropes. The problem is that you can't recommend them because that's usually the plot twist. So,
That's
like, if I
right.
ask, like, "What's your favorite movie about someone living in the walls?" Then it's like, "Oh, now I know the twist."
Yeah, that's a shame.
Isn't that what H.H. Holmes did? He walked through the walls to kill people in his
Oh, the
murder
Chicago
mansion?
serial killer,
Yeah.
right? Probably.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if there's any H.H. Holmes adjacent movies.
There's
Hmm.
gotta be.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be. I'm pretty sure there's an episode of Supernatural about H.H. Holmes, so
Wow, what didn't it do?
oh my god, yeah, they were on the walls again. Making those poor boys get into so many walls.
I want those boys in my wall. Get Jared Padalecki and Brahms in my wall, and my wall will just be exposed beams. I'll have a sledgehammer trying to get them out. Uh,
Oh my goodness. Anyway,
this wouldn't be our podcast if I didn't all of a sudden get thirsty over some guy.
specifically in a wall.
In a wall. I mean, honestly, that's where I want them, is in the wall. That's the perfect place for them.
You don't need to be in my space.
No.
Stay behind the plaster.
Right. Like, some people sleep in separate bedrooms. Me and my man sleep on different sides of the wall. That's how we make it work.
He's in the rafters.
Yes. Oh.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Um, anyways, I'm sorry I got us off track by talking Supernatural, which I could talk about all day. So, um, anyways, me enjoying. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately,
Ooh,
so I have an audiobook to recommend. I think anyone who likes the podcast will like it. It's called Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zeng. Have you heard of this book?
other names for what?
Cora Zeng.
Oh, no, I've never heard of this.
So the book came out a good while ago. I think at the beginning of this year. Um, and what's funny is I actually got a pre-pub version of the book when I went to a library conference that we both attended. Um,
Oh,
and I never read it, and I felt really guilty about it. So then I was on NetGalley and I saw that they had the audiobook version available to request, and I said, "What the hell, let me try." So I requested the audiobook, so I think the audiobook might be released now, and if it's not, it'll be soon. But
okay.
anyways, that's how I consumed the book. And it was phenomenal. It was so good. It essentially is a horror novel about an Asian American woman living in New York City during COVID, during, 2020. And this isn't a spoiler because it's literally first chapter. Um, she is waiting at the subway with her sister, technically her half sister, and man comes up and shoves her sister in front of a train and kills her. It's incredibly brutal. It's incredibly sad. It's like genuinely so fucked up, the descriptions. If you have I would consider myself to have a weak stomach with gore, especially when I'm listening to it on an audiobook.
Mm,
Um, so it honestly had like a very visceral effect on me. I actually
wow.
almost don't know how I finished the book. But it's so phenomenal. It's so well written. Basically the rest of the book, this character Cora, she ends up becoming a crime scene cleaner and like some spooky supernatural things happen, all relating to um forgive me, I cannot remember, but it's apparently in June to August. I believe it's called like the month of the hungry ghost or something. It's a Chinese tradition where basically you appease spirits. I'm doing a terrible job summarizing it, but basically creepy things start happening in conjunction with also all of these Asian women keep getting brutally murdered, and
Mm.
Cora Zeng is the one who's cleaning up these crime scenes. It's so well written. It's again really bleak and depressing. This is not a book you would read to feel good.
Mm.
Um, but it's genuinely disturbing. There's not only is the gore very scary, but there's genuinely some parts like with descriptions. It's actually funny. It's very similar to what you were talking about with the dad and like the creepy figure slowly lurking standing. There's a couple of scenes of that sort of atmosphere that are
Mm.
genuinely so scary, and again, I consider myself someone to have a pretty high tolerance when it comes to being scared, even though I don't necessarily like gore, like things like spooky spirits and that sort of thing don't scare me, but um there were parts of the book that were genuinely frightening.
Mm.
Um and I'm so sorry, I don't think I mentioned the author. The author is Kylie Lee Baker. Um and the narrator of the audiobook was really good too. She's done a lot
Mm.
of narrating. I think I've actually listened to something by her before. I think she narrated um one of the Anna H Anna Huang romance books? I believe that's the author's name. But anyways, I really
Okay.
like her. I thought the audiobook was really good if you can get your hands on it. If you are a big fan of, like, Stephen Graham Jones, like, that kind of, like, cultural horror, gore, slasher, spirit, spooky, very dark. It's really good.
Wow. What a
Yeah.
recommendation. You've intrigued me.
Yes, I definitely recommend it. Again, don't go into it thinking you're gonna have a good time, 'cause you probably won't. But I will say the characters are very, very likable, and there are some moments of humor. Um, in particular, one of the characters have these 2 white roommates who just assumed that she, like, only spoke Chinese. So that's she just, like, speaks Chinese in front of them, and they're kinda clueless and, like, dumb, and, you know, it's obviously quite funny. Yeah. So there's some moments of levity, but overall, it's very dark.
Well, it looks like the audiobook narrator's name is Natalie Naudis,
Mm,
and she's done a lot.
yes.
And this book has a beautiful cover and a blurb from one of your favorites, Paul Tremblay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He blurbed the front.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, I
So that's
definitely
high
recommend
praise
it.
as well. Well, thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Ghosties, for listening to us talk about Marrowbone. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share us with a friend. Until next time, stay ghosty. Bye bye.